truly established, teachers, parents, and school children all have a role to play in ensuring that all children within the confines of the Gambian boundary develop his or her abilities to the fullest.
The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Babu Karboy, explained in detail the underlying principle behind the initiative, noting that the introduction of school improvement grant is not meant to reduce teachers' take-home earnings.
Basically, they are referring to the revenue that they used to generate from the studies. But I want them to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is the exclusion that is going on in our schools as a result of the payment of levies is a cause for concern.
It is hoped that if school improvement grant is eradicated, the issue of achieving education for all by 2015 will be a reality. It is observed that school levies hinder access to education and the children from less privileged backgrounds bear the brunt of the problem. For Grts News, I am Fatou Jassi.
2 days heavy rainfall has caused widespread flooding in some parts of the Kanifing municipality and West Coast region. Torrential downpours inundated streets and homes, forcing families in London Corner to seek refuge at a local clinic. Meanwhile, in Sincho Balia, a middle-aged man drowned after suffering an epileptic fit in his home. Mamadou Jallo visited some affected areas and he now reports.
Residents of London Corner, a suburb of Serekunda, clearing water from their homes after 2 days of torrential rain caused flooding. This they have been doing for more than 5 hours, but they seem to be fighting a losing battle as the heavens continue to unleash more rain. Serif Kamara is the owner of this house, and according to him, he's working with his 2 sons to minimize the impact and has sent his wife and small children to higher ground. As they struggle against the deluge of water, their neighbors are moving out what they can of their belongings. Most of their furniture and other household items have been submerged as the water levels continue to rise. This neighborhood is close to the main stream that carries water to the sea. But according to the landlord, Ibrahim and Robert Jassy, they have been used to the floods, but this year it has got worse as a result of the construction of a mosque on the waterway. For Ibrahim, any long-term solution to the problem would require the removal of all buildings and other structures obstructing the free flow of water. Most of the families are now seeking refuge at the Mamadou Musa Njai Memorial Clinic. Bintu Jaga is in charge of the clinic, and she told GRTS that they have given the victims temporary shelter and care. This they have been doing for the past 3 years. In Kodosilo, residents near the stream are the most affected. According to Ndesala, the family was woken up around 5 a.m. when they realized that their house was filled with water. As usual, we started moving out our belongings and remove the water, but it continued to increase, she said. Now they are helpless and are hoping that the rain stops so that the water can recede. The ward councillor of the area, Jerry Sane, has been going around all morning with his local disaster committee member to see the damage caused by the floods.
Because of the heavy rains, since yesterday 5 p.m. up to today, it's been raining. I think that is the cause. And also, if you know that we are the receiving end, the Kotu stream stretches all the way from Abuko to Batin Hardin Highway. And here, Latikunda, we are at the receiving end. All the waters flowing all the way from Abuko end up here. So this is the main cause.
Further upstream at the main culvert along the Batin Hardin Highway, staff of the National Road Authority are working with the police to clear the road threatened by water lilies washed further upstream by the force of the water. It is not an easy task, but Bunny Chapman and his team are determined to keep the road clear and safe for motorists.
The water lilies inside of Kotu are being pushed out right now because of the effect of the work they did. And I think that was a job well done. So now I think with collaboration of Gambia Police Force, we're thanking them as well. I think we have to finish the job now because this is the main outlet now.
At Sincho Balia in the West Coast region, This compound is almost deserted as neighbors are trying to come to terms with the untimely death of one of theirs. Abdul Jaw, who is an epileptic, died this morning after he got an attack and fell into the water. According to one of his relatives, the deceased was alone at home, having sent his wife and child to seek refuge at their relatives whilst he kept watch of the compound. The executive director of the National Disaster Management Agency, Serigne Modou Jai, said the agency is still assessing the situation.
My teams are already on the ground trying to establish the impact of the rains. I do understand to some extent that some places have been hard hit, and like I said, until we have all the information gathered together, I would then be in a better position to actually give the breakdown as to the impact at the regional level, likewise district level.
Meanwhile, residents of affected areas will either endure more flooding or leave their homes for the meantime, as the month of August promises more rain. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS.
Elsewhere in the Kanifing municipality, efforts are being made to reach to disaster hotspots, particularly in crowded neighborhoods in the Serekunda metropolis. Abdoulaye Baji joined volunteers mainly from the Gambia Red Cross Society and officials of the National Disaster Management Agency during a tour of affected areas in the KMC. We hope to bring you that report before the end of this news bulletin. Deputy Permanent Secretaries of various ministries are receiving training in minutes writing and strategic management. A capacity enhancement effort organized by the President Management Office also covers communication. Fatou Jassi reports.
Minutes writing and strategic management will be the focus of a week-long training for Deputy Permanent Secretaries drawn from various government ministries. Shouldering the daily and unstopping engagements of government demands some initiative, and so the building of capacity would have a significant bearing on their work as senior secretaries, especially in the areas of communications. A higher education institute of great repute, MDI, is the institution tasked to offer training on this relevant model.
As a public service training institution, MDI, in partnership with the government, share the belief that the fight against poverty, the struggle for sustainable development, the eradication of corruption and other geopolitical malice will be lost or won in our country's civil service, of course with the support from the private sector and development partners. But what it means is the civil servant would have to be the foot soldiers, the new vanguard of a disciplined and effective selfless service.
Developing communication skills, introducing participants to the latest information systems in the trade is especially critical in this endeavor.
Well, there's an underpinning issue, is that after you have described the tool that is in your hands, you will discover that you're talking about language. And unless you are in love with the language, you cannot express it to the fullest score. So that tool you have in front of you happens to be the English language. Well, you have to examine yourself as to what your own intellectual capacity is to handle that tool, your own prowess in using that tool to achieve what you want to achieve, and to see how far using the use of the tool satisfies the contract which you have signed with your employer.
Secretary General, Head of the Civil Service and Minister of Presidential Affairs, Mamadou Sabali, recognized with great emphasis on capacity building and effective communication in the proper formulation of national policies, noting that where communication is ineffective, the value to be derived from even when properly laid down in a particular program is lessened.
The Cabinet, as the epitome of state machinery and policy formulation, counts on the critical support and input of the civil service. Therefore, the existence of capacity gaps in the critical area of communication, such as the preparation of cabinet memoranda, potentially has a huge negative impact on the delivery of quality goods and services to the public. This is unacceptable. That is why this training has been sanctioned to strengthen your capacity in this area,
honing the skills of bureaucrats to effectively shoulder official responsibilities. That's definitely critical in a development-driven administration. And so these senior secretaries will be going through an intensive program facilitated by the Institute, seasoned professors. For GRTS News, I am Fatou Jassi.
Back to our top story, where in the Kanifing municipality, efforts are being made to reach disaster hotspots, particularly in crowded neighborhoods in the Serekunda metropolis. Abdullah Baji joined volunteers mainly from the Gambia Red Cross Society and officials of the National